Hello there, my name is Florian, and in this video we're going to talk about trivia in Fantomas. I'll explain this concept based on a bug I encountered a while ago. In issue 589, a line comment disappears after formatting. So the first step I always take is I'll look at the AST and see what it is all about. If I look at the AST, I can grab the foo and let's search for the comment. Oh, well, bummer. Looks like the comment isn't there. So turns out not everything is captured inside the untyped abstract syntax tree. Things like comments and empty line are not present as a node somewhere. But fear not. Fantomas has a way of finding extra information in the source code that is not part of the AST. We use the tokenize functionality from the F# compiler. To illustrate this, I'll switch over to some other tools we made to make debugging Fantomas a bit easier. This tool visualizes the tokens found by the F# compiler. When compiling F# code, one of the first phases is detecting all the different chunks or tokens in the source code. You can see that some tokens are keywords, white spaces, identifiers, operators, and line comments. In this case, we're interested in those three tokens on the line comments on line 5. That is actually, this forms our line comment that is missing after formatting. So when we parse the tokens, we collect certain things and we call them trivia. We use the name trivia to indicate something we found in the tokens but is not present in the AST. And the best way to show this is actually another tool called the trivia viewer. If we search by trivia, here are 5 trivias we found. We found 3 new lines, we found the number, and we find our line comment. The number is a bit of an edge case. This is also part of the AST, but sometimes a number in the source code can be different than a value in the AST. Let's take a byte, for example. You can see that we use another notation here, but once we get the AST, it formatted as 0UY. So the compiler does some optimizations here, and you can't take the number from the AST tree and print it back out as the truth. The next thing we do is we assign the trivias to trivia nodes. A trivia node is an AST node or a token that can hold the trivia in content before, content after, or content itself. It is basically a known range in the source code that can hold trivia items. So in this case, we see that we have this nested module declaration. The content before is the new line. So on line 2, there's a new line, and the AST node of the nested model declaration, nested model, takes the new line as content before. In our case, we're interested in this one. This is a token, and that's the greater token, which contains our line comment. So on first sight, it looks like the trivia was parsed correctly. It's assigned to a node, but nothing is being done with the node when formatting the tree in the code printer. Okay, without any debugging, I can go to my editor and start solving this. I have a fairly educated guess what the problem is, and we can start by writing a failing unit test. Let's head over to synconst tests, and I created little snippets to speed things up. This is our unit test. If we run this, we'll see that our comment is missing. Okay, if we were going to debug this, the first thing I always do is I set a breakpoint in the context when it's being created. We can see what happens with tokens and then with the trivia collection. And trivias are added to our context so they're available in the code printer. Without really going into detail, if we look at the code, the output of this, you can see that we found 40 tokens, and if you would open those, these are exactly the same as we found in the debug tool. So that's why these things are handy, that you can have a quick overview without actually having to go into the debug breakpoint. Now, if we go to collect trivia, we can first see all the trivia nodes that have been found, and then we assign the trivias here to trivia nodes. So if I continue, you can see that we found 5 trivias, which are indeed 3 new lines, a comment, and a number, which is the same as we found in the debug output. If I then go back to contexts, I can see that what our trivia nodes are, which is again our nested model declaration, and the trivia node we're interested here is the token, which contains a content after, which is our line comment. Okay, cool. The next thing we want to do is we're going to go into the code printer, and I know this is a constant because it's after a number, and there is a function called gen constant. So I actually already kind of know that we're going to hit here because of the AST tree. We're going to hit gen constant. Constant C is a measure, so that all matches up. And then once we've printed the measure, we should actually print that comment. We can also see this range R here. R ends on line 5, column 35, and basically that will match up with our trivia node, which contains our comments. So we need some sort of a function that takes a context, returns a context, inside checks if there's a trivia node that kind of matches the end of that range, see if there's anything in there, and print out whatever is in there. So that sounds like a mouthful, but actually the good news is that Fantomas has a lot of helper functions, and these are used heavily all over CodePrinter. So we can quickly stop debugging here. And what we now need to do is, if we collapse the match expression, whatever comes out of here is that function I told about. And we can call genTrivia with the range of the syncons. Okay, and if we go into genTrivia, you can see that there are 3 pieces. Enter node, which takes the range and says if there's any trivia node found before that range or matching the start of that range, do the thing. Then F is just a function, which is something that CodePrinter provides. And then leave node is what we're interested in here, and we'll try and find a node that matches the end of the range that we pass. And if we found the trivia nodes, we'll print the content after, which will then check content after of the trivia node, print trivia, and let's just, we have a breakpoint here in my comment. I expect that we'll enter here. Okay, if we debug this again, the first time this breakpoint hits, we'll have found our number. So that's not the thing we're interested in here. If we continue, we get the token. The trivia node contains in content after our line comment. So if we now continue inside the print content after, we eventually get into this line comment, and we'll add it as a write event to the context. If I keep continuing, I'll actually hit this breakpoint a couple of more times. That's something for another video, but long story short, Fantomas will sometimes try and print a certain expression just to discover whether it's a multi-line thing or not. The general principle is if Fantomas can fit it on one line, it should try to do so. So continuing, we hit this a couple of times more, and then our test continued, and it's green this time. So great. To summarize in this video, AST nodes don't always contain all the information that we need, and to discover the missing things, we use the F# tokenizer. Inside those tokens, we group certain tokens as a trivia. The trivia is then being assigned to a trivia node, and those trivia nodes are being processed into the code printer next to the processing of the regular AST nodes. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if there's anything else you want to see or want to know about Fantomas, definitely let me know. Keep on formatting, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!